record. Hello and welcome to another Beyond Shakespeare first look exploring session. I think, I don't know where we are. It's an exploring session anyway, for the Chester cycle. And I'm here with these lovely people who are going to read play 14 to 16. We are going to, well, I think we should just stop at the end of each play because they don't tend to be very long. And I will run through the casting, which runs through all three plays. So we'll probably just pause in between. Otherwise, I can't keep, it's very hard to keep track. So reading Lazarus, Caiaphas, Servus, Jacob, and Herod, we have
Alan, raised from the dead in supper.
Reading Martha, Judas, Quartus, Civis, so basically fourth citizen. Second child, Pilate, and the Damsel, we have
Lynn. I am kind of not alive yet because it's early here. In the northwestern United States.
Reading Simon, Tush, my brain is translating. Simon, Tertius, Civis, first Mercator, first Pharisee, John, and second Jew, we have
Kyle and Tucson.
Reading, I love how I have to scroll this. Reading Peter, Primus, Civis, first child, and Annas, we have
Francis in Amsterdam with one foot in the grave.
Knock on wood. I mean, come on. I hope you feel better soon, or at least pull it out.
I'm just following on from Alan.
Yeah.
Theme.
Yeah. And okay, reading Sextus, Civis, second Pharisee, Thomas, fourth Jew, and the Jew is
Aliki in Athens.
Reading, this is just going to end up one of those days, isn't it? Reading Philip, Mary Magdalene, Secundus, Civis, second Mercator, and first Jew, we have
Rachel in Canada.
And reading Jesus, we have
Mark in the Midwest United States.
And somehow you managed to have a name even shorter than Jesus. Anyway, I mean, yeah. Reading Janitor, Janitor, Quintus, Civis, Peter Familius, Pater Familius, and Andreas and Malchus, we have
Connor in London.
And I'm going to be your host for today, Eric Kalula, in the absence of Robert Crichton. And I'll be reading everything that's left over, basically. So basically a third Jew, which is an amazing way of casting someone, you know? I feel like we should, I don't know, do we need to do a warning for like anti-Semitism, violence, because we're approaching the crucifixion? And it's almost Easter here, so it's time appropriate. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know what else to add. I mean, there will probably be misogyny, so on and so forth, the usual ableism, if you want to add that. I mean, it's a long list, so you know, it depends how far you want it to go. But yeah, without further ado, this is play 14 from the Chester cycle, the core visors play.
Leather workers.
Yes. Okay. So that basically, if you want a small summary, it's of Jesus healing the leper and other things. I'm not entirely sure what else is in this play. So without further ado, take it away, Jesus.
Brethren, go we to Bethany, to Lazarus, Martha, and Mary, for I love much that company. Thither now will I wend. Simon the leper hath prayed me in his house to take charity. With them now it likes me a while for to lend.
Lord, already shall we be in life and death to go with thee. Great joy that we may have to see thy coming into their place.
Lazar, thou raised through thy posty, and Simon also, Messel was he. Thou cleansed the Lord, that wotten we, and holp them through thy grace.
Then they go to the house of Simon the leper.
Welcome, Jesu, full of grace, that me that foul and messel was, all whole, Lord, thou healed hast, over all for to show. Well is me that I may see thy face, here in my house, this poor place. Thou comforts me in many a case, and that I full well know.
Welcome, Lord, sweet Jesu. Blessed be the time that I thee knew. From death to life through thy virtue, thou raised me, not yore. 4 days in earth when I had lain, thou grants me, Lord, life again. Thee I honour with all my main, now and evermore.
Welcome, my lovely Lord of Lair. Welcome, my dear worth darling dear. Fain may thy friends be in fear to see thy freely face. Sittest down, if your will were, and I shall help to serve you here, as I was wont in good manner before in other place.
And here, after this, Jesus sits and all with him, and then comes Mary Magdalene with ointment and laments to them, saying,
Welcome, my lovely Lord of Leal. Welcome, my heart. Welcome, my heel. Welcome, all my world's weal, my boot and all my bliss. From thee, Lord, may I not conceal my filth and my faults feel. Forgive me that my flesh so frail to thee hath done amiss. Ointment have I ready, here ready, to anoint thy sweet body. Though I be wretched and unworthy, wave me not from thy wand. Full of sin and sorrow am I, and therefore, Lord, I am sorry. Amend me through thy mercy that makes to thee my moan.
and with that she opens the jar, presumably of ointment, anointing the feet of Jesus and crying,
Ah, Judas, why doth Jesus so? Methinks that he should let her go, this woman full of sin and woe, for fear of world's shame. And if he very prophet were, he should know her life here, and suffer her not to come near him for sparing of his fame.
Nay, Simon, brother, sooth to say, it is nothing to my pay. This ointment goeth so fast away, there is so much of price. This like boist might have been sold for 300 pennies told, and dealt to poor men, whosoe'er would, and whosoe'er had been wise.
Simon, take good heed to me. I have an errand to say to thee.
Master, what you will may be. Say on, I beseech you.
By an example, I shall see thee show, and to this company on a row, whereby I say thou may know, to answer to my speech. 2 debtors sometime there were, oughten money to a usurer. The one was in his danger 500 pennies told, they other 50, as I say here. For they were poor at their prayer, he forgave them both in fear, and naught take of them he would. Whither of these 2, read if thou can, was more beholden to that man?
Lord, as much as I can thereon, I shall say ere I pass. 500 is more than 50. Therefore, methinketh skillfully that he forgave more party, more holding to him he was.
Simon, thou deems soothly, I wis. See thou this woman that here is. Sicker she hath not done amiss to work in this manner. Into thy house here thou me greet. No water thou gave me to my feet. She washed them with her tears weet, and wiped them with her hair. Kiss since I came, thou gave none, but since she came into this one, she hath kissed my feet each one. Of weeping she never ceased. With oil thou hast not me anoint, but she hath done with both foot and joint. Therefore I tell thee one point, much sin is here released. And Judas, also to thee I say, whereto wouldst thou thee mispay with this woman by any way that ease me this has? A good deed she hath done today, for poor men you have with you, I, and me you may not have in fay but a little space. Therefore, woman, witterly, for thou hast loved so tenderly, all thy sins now forgive I. Belief hath saved thee, and all that preach the evangely through the world by and by of thy deed shall make memory that thou hast done to me.
My Christ, my comfort, and my King, I worship thee in all thing. For now my heart is in liking, and I at my above. 7 devils now as well I see, thou hast driven now out of me, and from foul life unto greatly relieved me, Lord, for love.
Peter and Philip, my brethren free, before you a castle you may see. Go you thither and fetch anon to me an ass and a fowl also. Loose them, bring them hither anon. If any man grit you as you gone, and you say that I will ride thereon, soon will they let them go.
Good Peter, you're muted.
Sorry. Master, we shall do your bidding, and bring them soon for anything. Philip, brother, be we going, and fetch these beasts too?
Philip?
Brother, I am ready bone, high that we were at the town. Great joy is in heart have we won on this errand for to go.
And they go to the city, and Peter says to the janitor,
How now? I must have this ass.
Here gett'st thou neither more or less, but thou shalt tell me, ere thou pass, whither they shall go.
My master Jesu, leave thou me, thinks to come to this city, and bade both brought to him should be himself to ride upon.
Already good men in good fay, and city come today. All this city I will say, and warn on his coming. Take an ass and a fowl, go your way. For each man of him marvel may, Lazarus, the 4 day dead lay, he raised at his calling.
and then the janitor goes to the citizens.
Tidings, good men, every one, the prophet Jesus comes anon, and his disciples yonder gone, 2 that were now here. For his marvels I live upon, that he is very God's son, although he is in this world one, for else I great wonder were.
Ah, Lord, blessed must thou be. Him will I go now and see. And so I read that all we thitherward take the way.
Fellows, I leave that Christ is he, coming from God in majesty, else such marvels as think me, he nay did day for day.
Lazar he raised, as God me save, that 4 days hath been in grave. Therefore devotion now I have to welcome him to this town.
Branches of
Sorry.
branches of the palm tree, each one in hand take we, and welcome him into this city with fair procession.
Oh, Quintus. With all the worship that I may, I welcome him will today, and spread my cloths in the way as soon as I see him.
These miracles are preven apertly that from the Father Almighty he is coming, mankind to buy. It may none other be.
Fellows, I heard my father say, Jesu the prophet will come today. Thither I read we take the way, with branches in our hand.
Make we mirth all that we may, pleasant to the Lord's pay. Hosanna, I rade by my fay, to sing that we found.
And I'm just glad I don't have to read all the Latin. And then the children go towards Jerusalem, singing Hosanna with the palm branches in their hands. The citizens throw clothes down on the road, singing Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of Hosanna in the highest. Then Jesus enters, sitting on a donkey. He weeps and says,
Ah, Jerusalem, holy city, unknown today, it is to thee that peace thou hast. Canst thou not see? But Baal thou shalt abide. Much must thou drite yet some day, when woe shall fall on every way, and thou beguiled, sooth to say, with sorrow on all side. Destroyed, dilfully driven down, no stone with other in all this town shall stand, for that they be unleavened to keep Christ's come, and God's own visitation done for mankind's salvation. For the have no devotion, ne dread not his doom.
And after this, Jesus rides toward the city, and all with the citizens lay their clothes. But when it comes to the temple, he gets down and brings the whip. So apparently he's carrying whip, but yeah.
Do away, and use not this thing, for it is not my liking. You make my father's wanting a place of merchandise.
What freak is this that makes this fair, and casteth down all our ware? Came no man hither full yar, that did us such annoy?
Out, out, woe is me, my table with my money is spread abroad, well I see, and not dare I. Now it seems well that he would attain royalty, else this bold durst he not be to make such array.
It seems well he would be king, that casteth down thus our thing, and says his father's wanting in this temple is. Say, Jesus, with thy jangling, what evidence or tokening showest thou of thy reigning, that thou darest now do this?
What signs showest thou now here, that thou prove such power to shend our ware in this manner, masterly through thy main?
This temple here I may destroy, and through my might and my mastery, in days 3 it re-edify and build it up again.
Aha, Jesu, wilt thou so? This word, as ever mought I go, shall be rehearsed before Mo, and Caiaphas I shall tell.
Then Jesus drives out with a whip the buyers and sellers.
Hie you fast this temple fro, for merchandise shall be here no mo. In this place be you never so throw, shall you no longer dwell.
By dear God in majesty, I am as worthy as I may be, and some way I will wreak me as soon as ever I may. My master Jesu, as men might see, was rubbed head, foot, and knee with ointment of more dainty than I see a many a day. To that I have great envy, that be suffered to destroy more than all his goods dry, and his dames too. Had I of it had mastery, I would have sold it soon in high, and put it up in treasury, as I was wont to do. Whatsoe'er was given to Jesu, I have kept since him I knew, for he hopes I be true, his purse away, alway I bear. Him had been better in good faith to have spared ointment that day, for broken I will be some way of waste that was done there. 300 pennies worth it was, that he let spill in that place. Therefore, God give me hard grace, but himself shall be sold to the Jews, ere that I sit for the 10th penny of it, and thus my master shall be quit my grief an hundredfold. Sir Caiaphas and his company conspiring Jesu to annoy, their speech anon I will espy, their falsehood for to foul him. And if they gladly will do, why, I shall teach them to him in high, for of his counsel well know I may be best beguile him.
Then Judas goes apart for a time, and Caiaphas says,
Lordings, lookers of the law, Gherkins hither to my sore, to Jesu all men can draw, and liking in him has. If we letten him long gone, all men will leave him upon, so shall the Romans come anon, and prive us of our place. Therefore it is fully my rede, we cast how he may be dead, for if he long on life be led, our law goeth all to naught. Therefore say each one his counsel, what manner way will it best avail, this ilka shrew for to assail, some slight there must be sought.
Sir, you say right skilfully, but needily men must espy. By him we catch no villainy, to found and foul to fail. For you know as well as I, oft we have found it to do him annoy, but ever he hath the victory, that no way may avail.
Yea, sir, in temple he hath been, and troubled us with much teen, that when we wended and did ween of him to have had all our will, or ever we wist he was away, this maketh the people in good fay to leave that be is Christ's veray, and our love for to spill.
Yea, lords, one point may do gain, that Lorden Lazar should be slain, for he raised him up again, that 4 days had been dead. For that miracle much of main, to honor him each one is fain, and Lazar that dead was will not lain, and be one life be led.
No more forsooth will many mow, that he has made to speak and go, and blind that have their sight also, loving him steadfastly, and following him both far and near, preaching to the people his power. Therefore my wit is in and wear to ordain a remedy.
And remedy must ordained be before this great solemnity, or else may other as well as we trust and take our way. For when he came to this city, all the world, as you may see, honoured him upon their knee, as God had common that day.
Also, lordings, you saw there how he fared with our chaffer, cast it down, God give him care, that was so great of price. And also loudly he can lie, called the temple apertly, his father's house full falsely, right as it had been his.
Lordlings, there is no more to say, but lost is our law, I dare lay, and he come on our Sabbath day that now approacheth nigh. Heal he any, less or more, all men will leave on his lore. Therefore it is good to slay him before, if that we will be sly.
Among our wits let us see, to take him with some subtlety. He shall have silver, gold, and fee, this thing that would fulfill.
And Judas returns to them.
Lords, what will you give me, and I shall soon help that he sleely betrayed be, right at your own will.
Welcome, fellow, as have I row, that bargain fain I would go to.
Let me see what you will do, and lay down silver here, for the devil swap of my squire, and I do it without hire, other for sovereign or sire, it is not my manner.
Say on what we shall give thee, to help that he taken be, and here is ready thy money, to pay thee ere thou pass.
As ever mought I thrive o'er thee, and I show my subtlety, 30 pennies ye shall give me, and not a farthing less.
Yea, but thy truth thou must plight, for to serve us aright, to betray thy master thy might, and have here thy money.
Have here my troth, as I have tight, or Friday, that ere it be night, I shall bring him to your sight, and tell you which is he.
You been brethren on a row, which is he I cannot know.
Now other is sign I shall you show, of spies whom I kiss, and that is he, sooth to say, takes him manly as ye may, and lead him slayly away, whither your liking is.
Now look thou Servus truly, thy master's coming to espy.
Trust well thereto, and sickerly, that he shall not eschew, and would God Almighty, the King of France, might so affy in this realm and barony, that they were all so true. On Friday in the morning espies all on my coming, for where that he is walking I will go and espy. With him I think to eat and drink, and after tidings to you to bring, where he shapes his dwelling, and come ye and tell you in high.
And thus endeth play I was gonna say 15. Play 14. So Judas has had his 30 silver pieces. Silver? Yeah, silver. Any thoughts on this? I mean, it's a very famous story, but I didn't know that it was combined with the stuff. Like Aliki then Alan.
Well, I'm impressed by the triviality of Judas's motives here. How come I have to wear links when he gets Chanel number 5 or whatever some masculine equivalent thereof is?
He has a point. I mean, you can't go around like that, can you? But also, it's in modern versions of this story, modern here being Jesus Christ Superstar and all that stuff, it's kind of like the idea is that he would give the money to charity. But we'll see. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of different variants on this sequence of events across the various different mystery cycles that we've explored, many of which are up on the YouTube channel. I think part of the trouble is that this is much earlier in terms of its source than many of the things that we've been doing lately. And my God, the changes in the language over that century or two between this and the early modern plays we've been doing is causing some issues, I think.
Yeah, and well, the rhyme doesn't you kind of want to do it sing-song, but also it just sounds kind of bad if you do a sing-song. So yeah,
I think a lot of the rhymes did actually work if you go and period correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they do though. I mean, it's be money, the subtlety, me, last, more or less. So it tends to rhyme, depending on how you do it. Well, and also I think supposedly, considering this was outdoors, it would have been kind of easier to hear. I was going to, and also these are still performed nowadays, but the next one's in about 4 years' time. So maybe when this video is going to be released, I don't know. Or never. So any thoughts on this? I always find it interesting that like Simon gets all like sort of up in Simon and Judas, well, mainly Simon gets up in Mary's face, going like, "What? You brought her to my house? Why did you? How dare you?" and all that stuff, and it's just kind of irrelevant. But yeah, I know. Aliki.
I mean, that bit of the story doesn't make much impression on modern people because we don't think sexual fidelity is that huge of a deal necessarily. But at the time, a woman taken in adultery, as she tends to be described, at the time, I mean, Jesus' time, and presumably also when this was written, was a really, really big deal. You don't mess around with women who have been screwing around behind their husband's back. They're the worst of the worst, right?
Right.
So it's kind of well, he hangs out with scumbags, which is always part of the official accusation against Jesus in these stories.
Yeah. Alan, then Francis, then Lynn.
I think there's also an issue here, and I have a feeling that we've got two characters called Simon. We've got Simon the leper, and then we've got Simon, who is one of the 12 disciples. But they carry the same speech prefix in here.
Yeah.
And I think effectively the leper has had his 2 minutes in the sun and then disappeared. And we're dealing with a different Simon who's involved in that discussion with Mary Magdalene.
Francis.
Yeah, I thought Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, and sort of a woman taken in adultery was kind of a euphemism for a prostitute. Or am I confusing this with Jesus Christ Superstar?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. I'm not a theologian, but I think it's the other way around. I think the crime is adultery, and then later generations just simply found it not salacious enough and spiced it up to prostitute.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
Oh,
Would be.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Me as the person who's never studied religious stuff. I'm like, they're hosting this session. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
I mean, I read a children's Bible when I was young.
I took a couple of classes at school and that was it. And then just sort of, yeah. Anyway, we talked about football. Lynn.
Yeah, I think in scripture it's a woman taken in adultery. It's later traditions that have her Mary Magdalene as being like a habitual loose woman. But yeah, I was going to piggyback on Aliki that yeah, the motivation behind the fact that adultery was such a taboo activity for women is basically economic. You don't want to be paying to rear someone else's child. And there's no way of knowing until very recently if the child was actually the husband's. There's a whole passage in Hebrew scripture, sometimes called the ordeal of the bitter waters. It's in Numbers, where a rabbi basically gives a woman poison and casts a spell, and if she's carrying the child of a man who is not her husband, she will miscarry. Yeah. So, but if the child's legitimate, the pregnancy will go forward. Evidently, that's what's going on in that text. Anyway, so yeah, the idea that the child my wife is carrying might actually have been fathered by somebody else, and it's not my child. That's the anxiety there, and that's why it wasn't. Society didn't consider it as serious a crime for men to be unfaithful because they can't get pregnant.
Well, also that what you've just described, like with the sort of test and potion and all that stuff, is also in the Changeling, which is kind of creepy, and in a different way. But yeah.
You know, I hadn't thought of that. I don't wonder if that's a coincidence or if the authors of the Changeling were familiar with the ordeal of the bitter waters.
Maybe they were. Any other thoughts on this play? Because I feel like this bit of the story is quite familiar, so it's kind of like, well, aside from the line, I must see that ass or I must have that ass, it just kind of yeah.
That's such a funny line.
It in the logic of today, this episode of the series feels a bit like a filler. You know, you got to get the characters in the right place, but not that much actually happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So we should move on. This is probably where maybe Rob could cut or something. I don't know. Or yeah. I don't know if he's going to release these as separate episodes, so we'll see. Wait a moment. And so we continue with the Chester cycle, play 15, the Baker's play, which I don't know what this is about because I don't know.
I think
enough
it's
Latin.
the wedding at Cana.
Okay, I don't know what that's about, so we shall find out.
Water into wine.
More
or less.
Yeah. Jesus, take it away again.
Brethren all, to me right dear, come hither to me, and you shall hear. The feast of Easter, you know, draweth near, and now it is at hand. That feast needs keep must we with very great solemnity. The paschal lamb eaten must be, as the law doth command. Therefore, Peter, look that thou go, and John with thee shall be also. Prepare all things that belongeth thereto according to the law.
Lord, thy bidding do will we, but tell us first where it shall be, and we shall do it speedily, and thither will we draw.
Go into the city which ye do see, and there is a man, meet shall ye, with a water pot that beareth he, for so you may him know. Into what house that he shall go, into the same house enter you also. And say, the master send you to his message for to show. Say, the master to thee us sent, to have a place convenient, the paschal lamb to eat. There is my intent with my disciples all. A fair parlor he will show you. There prepare all things due, where I with my retinue fulfill the law we shall.
Already, Lord, even thy will shortly we too shall fulfill, and the fair city we shall go till, as fast as we may.
Then Peter and John go and speak to the man carrying a jug of water.
All hail, good fellow, heartily. To thy master's house I pray thee hie, and we must keep thee company, our message for to say.
Come on your way and follow me. My master's house soon shall you see. Lo, here it is, verily. Say now what ye will.
And then they enter the house.
Sir, the master saluteth thee, and as messengers send we be. Therefore we pray thee heartily, take heed us until the master hath sent us to thee. A place prepare for him must we. The paschal lamb there eat will he, with his disciples all.
Lo, here is a parlour already daylight, with paved floors and windows bright. Make all things ready, as you think right, and this have you shall.
Now, brother Peter, let us hie the paschal lamb to make ready. Then to our master will you and I, as fast as we may.
And then they decorate the table and return.
Thy commandment, Lord, done have we. The paschal lamb is made ready. Therefore come on, and you shall see, and we shall lead the way.
And then they eat.
Now, brethren, go to your seat. This paschal lamb now let us eat, and then we shall of other things entreat that be of great effect. For know you now, the time is come that signs and shadows be all done. Therefore make haste, that we may soon all figures clean reject. For now a new law I will begin to help mankind out of his sin, so that he may heaven win, the which for sin he lost. And here, in presence of you all, another sacrifice begin I shall, to bring mankind out of his thrall, for help him need I must.
And then Jesus reclines and sleeps on John's lap.
Brethren, I tell you by and by, with great desired have I this Passover to eat with you truly before my passion. For I say to you sickerly, my Father's will almighty I must fulfill meekly and ever to be bone.
And then Jesus will take the bread, break it, and give it to his disciples, saying,
This bread I give here my blessing. Take, eat, brethren, at my bidding, for leave you well without leasing. This is my body that shall die for all mankind in remission of their sin. This give I you, on me to mind, I after evermore.
And then he takes the cup in his hands, the cup in his hands with raised eyes, saying,
Father of heaven, I thank thee for all that ever thou dost to me. Brethren, takes this with heart free. That is my blood, that shall be shed on the tree. For more together drink not we, in heaven bless, till that we be, taste that ghostly food.
And then he eats and drinks with the disciples, and Judas Iscariot will have his hand on the plate to take the bread.
Brethren, forsooth I you say, one of you shall me betray, that eateth here with me today in this company.
Alas, alas, and wheel away, who that may be. No, I ne may, for I it is not, in good fay, that shall do such annoy.
Hard it is for us all, to whom this case shall befall. We, but 12 within this hall, Lord tell if it be I.
Sorrowful for these words be we. Who it is I cannot see. If this case shall fall to me, Lord, tell me hastily.
Then Judas takes from the plate.
Through his deceit I am but dead, that in my cup wets his bread. Much woe for his wicked red, that wretch must thole I wis. Well were him had he been unborn, for body and soul is both forlorn, that falsely so hath done before, and yet in will he is.
Leaf master, Is it not I that shall do thee this villainy?
Thou hast read Judas readily, for sicker thou art he. That thou shalt do hastily.
Farewell, all this company, for on an errand I must hie. Undone it may not be.
And exit Judas.
Brethren, take up this meat anon. To another work we must gone. Your feet shall wash and be each one to show all charity. And first myself I will begin and wash you all that be herein on this deed, that you may min and meeker for to be.
And then Jesus makes to wash Peter's feet.
Ah, Lord, shalt thou wash my feet?
That do I, Peter, I thee behight. The while more thou shalt not wit, but thou shalt afterward.
Nay, Lord, forsooth in no manner my feet shall thou not wash here.
But I wash thee withouten were of joy gett'st thou no part.
Nay, Lord, my feet may well be laid, but wash my hands and my head.
All is clean, therefore do my red. Thy feet shall washen be, and you clean, but not all.
Lord, of whale thou art the wall, and though it not well befall, have here my feet to thee.
And then he will wash everyone's feet one by one and wipe them with a towel.
My dear brethren, well wit ye that Lord and Master you call me, and well you say, as it should be, I am and have been your. Sith I have washen your feet here, Lord and Master, in meek manner, do each one to other in fair, as I have done before.
Then they will wash one another's feet.
My children and my brethren free, little while may I with you be, but thither shall you not go with me, as I am now in way. But this soothly is my bidding. You love together in all thing, as I before without fletching have loved you truly, I. So all men may know and see, my disciples, that you be falsehood if you always flee, and love and well and fair.
Lord, whither art thou in way?
Peter, thither as I go today, come nigh sickerly thou ne may, this time in no manner, but thou shalt thither go.
Why shall it not, Lord, now be so? My life I will put in woe, and for thy sake be slain.
Peter, I say thee sickerly, ere the cock have crowen thry, thou shalt forsake my company, and take thy word again. Brethren, let not your hearts be sore, but believe in God evermore, and in me as you have before, and care not for this case. For in my Father house there is many wonnings of great bliss, and thither will go now, I wis, to purvey you a place. And though I go from you away to purvey a place to your pay, I come again another day, take you all with me.
Lord, we wot not in good fay what manner a gate thou wilt assay. Tell us, that we know may that gate, and go with thee.
Thomas, I tell thee without strife, in me is way, soothness, and life, and to my Father no man ne wife may come without me. And who knew me verily, my Father you might know in high. From henceforth I say you sickerly, know him all shall ye.
Lord, let us see thy Father anon, and it sufficeth us every one.
A long time you have with me gone, Philip. Why sayest thou? Sickerly, who seeth me, seeth my Father, I tell it thee. Who seeth me, seeth my Father, I tell it thee. Why wills thou my Father to see, while I with you go? Philip, leavest thou not this, that my Father in me, leavest not thou this, that my Father in me is, and I in him also I wis, and both we be one? The works that I do are his, for his help may I not miss. Therefore, to win you heaven bliss, my deeds you leave upon. Whatsoe'er you ask my Father dear, in my name, in good manner, to fulfill it, I have power. All that is to my pay, that my Father in majesty by me glorified may be, and either, as I say to thee, for one I have been, I. If that you love me heartily, keep my bidding truly. And to my Father pray will I to send you the Holy Ghost to abide with you evermore. For the world knoweth not his lore, but you that have known me, in you he shall be most. Though I go now to distress, I will not leave you comfortless, but leaves this well and express, after I will come again. And then your hearts on a row shall gladly be my bliss to know. With joy shall no man take you fro, would he never so fain. Rise up, and go we heaven anon. To my prayer I must be gone, but sit you still, everyone. My Father, while I call, wakes, and have my benison for falling into temptation. The spirit I to bail is bone, and the flesh I ready to fall.
And then, as Jesus goes to pray, the disciples fall asleep, and he cries dolorously,
Father of heaven and majesty, glorify, if thy will be, thy Son, that he may glorify thee now ere I heaven wend. In earth thou hast given me posterity. I have done with heart free the work thou hast charged me and brought it to an end. Thy name have I made men to know, and spared not thy will to show to my disciples on a row that thou hast given me. And now they know verily that from the Father sent am I. Therefore, I pray thee especially, send them, save them through thy mercy.
and then he comes to the disciples and finds them asleep, saying,
What? Sleep you, brethren, all here. Rise up and make your prayer, lest temptation have power to make you for to fall. The flesh is, as I've said before, inclining I to sin sore, and ghost occupied evermore. Therefore now wakes all.
And then again to the prayer, and he speaks in a loud voice.
My heart is in great misliking for death that is to me coming. Father, if I dare ask this thing, put this away from me. All thing to thee possible is, nevertheless, now in this, at your will I am, I wis, as thou wilt, let it be.
And then he returns to his disciples again.
Maybe that was supposed to be, as thou wilt, let it be. Anyway, you sleepin, brethren, yet I see, sleep on now, all ye. My time is come, taken to be. From you I must away. He that hath betrayed me this night, from him will I not flee. Sorry time born was he, so he may well say.
And then Judas came thither with a small company, with torches and weapons.
You men, I ask, whom seek ye?
Jesus of Nazareth, him seek we.
Here already. I am he. What have you for to say?
Sweet master, kiss me, for it is long since I thee see, and together we will flee and steal from them away.
What seek you, men, with such a breath?
We seek Jesus of Nazareth, and something else that's missing.
I say you're, and yet I say I am he in good fay. Suffer these men to go their way, and I am at your will.
False thief, thou shalt gone to Bishop Caiaphas, and that anon. Or I shall break thy body and bone, and thou wilt be too late.
Thief, and thou be so bold, my master so for to hold, thou shalt be quit 100-fold, and onward take thou that. Be thou so bold as thrive I, to hold my master here in high, full dear shalt thou it abye. But thou the heathen dight, thy ear shall off, by God's grace, ere thou pass from this place.
And then he draws his sword and cuts off Malchus' ear.
Go plague now to Caiaphas, and bid him do thee right.
Out! Alas, alas, alas! My cock's bones, my ear he has! Me's betide a hard case, and ever I come here.
Peter, put up thy sword and hie. Whosoever with the sword smiteth gladly, with sword shall perish hastily. I tell thee without in word.
Then Jesus touches the ear and heals it.
Ah, well is me, well is me. My ear is healed now, I see. So merciful a man as is he. Knew I never none.
Yea, though he has healed thee, shut from us shall he not be. But to Sir Caiaphas, as mote I thee, with us shall he gone.
As to a thief you come here, with sword and staves and armor, to take me in foul manner and end your wicked will. In temple with you, and I, no hand on me would you lay, but now is come in time and day your talent to fulfill.
Come, caitiff, to Caiaphas, or thou shalt have hard grace. Trot upon a prouder pass, thou vile populard. Though Beelzebub and Satanus come to help thee in this case, both thy hands that thou hast shall be bounden hard.
And thus endeth play. 15. Yeah, I'm only keeping track because I know what the next play is. I feel like some of this is quite economical. Like it gets to the point quite like, I mean, okay, Jesus does go on and on and on, but I mean, yeah, as Aliki pointed out in the chat, it's his show. But I feel like it's doing quite a lot in a very short amount of time. We've already got to like the bit where he's been betrayed. He's already sort of, been arrested. He's healed people in the meantime. He's handed out bread. So yeah. Any thoughts on this? I don't know what I feel like this play is quite active, but yeah, there's a lot of action we're missing here. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, given that this would have been done in a marketplace or similar, and would have had to embellow to get the point across, that's why you get an awful lot of these, what look to us to be iffy rhymes in modern pronunciation, and the alliteration, all of which are basically getting the point across in very short order. And I think this script has been lightly modernized, because my recollection when I did a pass through this with Rob many years ago, way before we were doing these things on Zoom, was often without, and we've only had one in there, and that does amend the scansion a bit, and also gives you a bit more emphasis in the speaking of it.
Yeah, true. But also it's kind of like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're missing in that we're not actually acting it out. So it's like we're not actually like cutting off the ear and stuff, or like I'm reading the stage directions for obvious reasons, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like this one is probably more for the action folks, I don't know, rather than the previous ones are like, oh, you shall not do this, you shall not do that, and yeah, I don't know. Jesus, how did you feel about being arrested and betrayed?
Didn't love it. Yeah, he's he really gives it to Judas in this version. It's like it's gonna be bad for you. Yeah, if there's as the audience will have noticed with some of my stopping and starting, there's some of the kind of logic that Jesus is working through and the thoughts he's working through that are, I have to take a moment and be like, wait, no, I'm using this word differently. This is how this needs to be said to make sense. Up to and including just the like, I don't want to die. Okay, I'll die. Just getting all that clear is a bit of a challenge on a cold read.
Yeah. Well, also there's that thing of I don't want to die, and then like 2 lines later, okay, I'll die, but I mean, just don't hide the body, okay? Or just kind of it's a very quick change, I feel, but I mean, he has time to think about it. Francis, you were waving earlier.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I don't know too much about early modern stagecraft, but I was wondering, as this is performed, as Alan says, in an outdoor venue, for a general public, and then sort of trying to get the story across and the message across, would they have had, stage effects like, clap a pig's bladder full of blood to your ear as it gets cut off? Would they have had stage effects?
Alan? Sorry.
I think the conclusion we've come to is, providing the budget of the guild that was putting it on could run to the cost.
Yeah.
We've had one or two others where I think we did some time ago the nativity sequence, and I have a feeling that the visitation, the Magi, was actually done by the Clothiers Guild. So you would have had the most expensive costumes that they could actually find to do that, because the whole thing was civic show off.
Yeah, was that like early modern product placement?
Well, the thing was, each of these was done by a guild or a combination of guilds.
Like the next one.
And basically they would always be pushing their own trade specialities.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I seem to remember one of the other ones, not the Chester cycle, but I think it was either not in town, maybe it was York or something. That was where the crucifixion was the crucifixion play was done by the sort of blacksmiths and nail producing people, because obviously you need nails for a crucifixion. Of course, health and safety didn't exist back then, so yeah, you could do whatever you wanted, so to speak. Well, within reason, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah. Without further ado, we should probably move on to the last play. I'm just amused by the casting of the next play, because it's like Jews 1 to 4. They don't get names. So yeah. Rachel has thoughts, or are you just preparing for the next one? You're just getting ready. Okay, cool. Well, without further ado, this is play 16 by the Fletchers, Bowers, Coopers, and Stringers play. And the Jews will come first, bringing Jesus to Annas and Caiaphas, and they will begin first.
Sir Bishops, here we have brought a wretch that much woe has wrought, and would bring our law to naught. For it he hath spurned.
Yea, wide where we have him sought, and dear also we have him bought. For here many man's thought to him he has turned.
A jangling Jesu, art thou here? Now may thou prove thy power, whether thy cause be clean and clear. Thy Christhood we must know.
Think a master, if he were, either for penny or prayer, to shunt himself of this danger, and such a slight to show.
Sir Caiaphas, I say sickly, we that been in company must needs this disabere destroy that wickedly hath wrought.
It is needful, this say I, that one must die verily, all the people to forby, so that they perish naught.
Sir Caiaphas, hearken now to me, this babbling our king would be. What ere he saith now before thee, I heard him say full yore, that prince he was of such post he destroyed the temple, well might he, and built it up in days 3, right as it was before.
Yea, sicker that I heard him say, he may deny it by no way, and also that he was God vere, Emmanuel and Messiah. He may not nick this nor say nay, for more than 20 in good faith that in the temple were that day heard him as well as I.
Say, Jesus, to this what say ye? Thou wottest now what is put on thee. But force, Prince, thy policy, and perceive what they prevent. What devil, not one word speaks not he. Jesus, here I conjure thee, if thou be God's son before me, answer to that they mean.
As thou sayest, so say I. I am God's Son Almighty, and here I tell thee truly that me yet shalt thou see sit on God's right hand him by, mankind in clouds to justify.
Witness of his
Witness
company.
all this company that falsely
falsely
lieth
lies
he.
Ye hearken all what he saith here, of witness what need wear, for before all these folk in fear, loudly thou lies. What sayest thou, men, that thee hear?
Buffets him that makes this bear. A new law we shall him lair, that our law so destroys.
Destroy shall not he not it, you wretches withouten wit, found this freak a fit, and gird him in the face.
Despise, spurn, and spit. Let's see or you sit, who hath hap to hit, that us thus harmed has.
Then the Jews
What?
set Jesus on a chair, and they call for torture.
For his harms here, nigh will I near, the same lewd fair that makes our law false.
He is but aware to the devil dear, spit we in fear, and buffet him alls.
You heard in this place now how he lied us now, and in midst his face now, fully will I foul him.
Pass he shall apace now, for God he him makes now. Gets he no grace now, when I may beguile him?
Fie on thee, freak, carp now and break, thy brains I will break. Am I ready bone?
Then the second Jew slaps Jesus and covers his face.
His face will I streak with a cloth ere he break, and us all wreck from my werison.
And thou be messy and loath for to lie. Who smote thee, cry if thou be Christ?
For all his prophesy, yet he fails thry. Though my fist fly, gets he a fust.
Though he him be shit, a buffet shall bit. May no man me wit, though I do him woe.
He fails for to flight, or ought to despite, for he has to light now must he have mow.
And mow yet I may, I shall sooner say. Haste thou large pay, thou prince on thy pate.
If he say nay, I shall in fay lay on. I dare lay it is not too late.
Then they stop hitting Jesus, and Caiaphas says,
Lordings, what is your best rede? This man has served for to be dead, and if he lightly thus be led, our law clean will sleep.
Sir, it is fully mine advise, lead we him to the high justice. Sir Pilate is both ware and wise, and has the law to keep.
Then Caiaphas and Annas and the Jews bring Jesus to Pilate. Let him say,
Sir Pilate, here we bring in one that false is, and our elders' phone. Tribute may be given none to Caesar for him here. Wheresoe'er he and his fellows gone, they turn the folk to them each one. Now we ask doom him upon of thee that hath power.
Sicker he is our elders' foe, wheresoever he goeth to or fro. That he is king and Christ also, he preacheth apertly. Wist Caesar that, he would be woe, such a man, and we let go. Therefore to doom him we bethrow, lest he us all destroy.
What sayest thou, man in misarray? And thou be king of Jews, say.
So thou says, as men hear may. A king that thou me mayst.
No cause find I in good faith to do this man to death today.
Sir, the people follow his way, perverted them all he has.
Yea, all the land of Galilee clean turned to him has he. Therefore doom now ask we this false man to down.
Sith he was born there, as saying ye, to Herod send he shall be. else reft I him his royalty and blemish his renown. Go, lead him to Herod and by, and say I send him to justify this man, of which he hath mastery, at his own liking.
Him shall he have hastily, or lead him thither anon will I. Come then forth with thy sigildry, and speak for our king.
And then 2 Jews will go, bringing Jesus to Herod, and say,
Sir King, here Pilate hath you sent, a shrew that our law hath shent, for to have his judgment, ere he heathen wend.
Welcome, Jesu verament. I thank Pilate for this present. For oft time have I been intent after thee to send. Jesu, much have I heard of thee, some sign now fain would I see. If thou from God in majesty be coming, tell us here. I pray thee, say now to me, and prove here some of thy postee, and much the gladder I must be, truly, all this year.
Jesus says nothing, and Herod says,
What? I ween this man is wood, or else dumb and can no good. Such a stannel before me never stood, and stout and stern is he. Speak on, Jesu, for cock's blood, for Pilate shall not by my hood do thee amiss. Now mend thy mood, and speak somewhat to me. Ass, I'm near wood for woe. Methinks this man is wondrous throw, dumb and deaf as doted doe, frenetic in good place. And yet, since Pilate hath done so, the wrath that was between us two, I forgive him, no more his foe, to be after this day. Clothe him in white, for in this case, to Pilate it may be solace, for Jews' custom before was, to clothe men that were wood or mad, as he now him mays, as well seems by his face. For him that hath lost his grace, that garment is full good.
and the Jews will clothe him in a white garment.
Have this, Jesu, upon thee, a worshipful weed, as thinken we, of the king's livery, that on thee now is light.
Put thee
Like-
forth, thou may not flee, now thou art in thy loyalty. Sir King Herod, believe we, and grant mercy this gift.
And then the 2 Jews come out to Pilate and bring Jesus in a white garment, and the first says,
Sir Pilate, here the king hath sent Jesu again, and sith he went, he hath forgiven his malintent for thy deed today.
Yea, fault in him can I find none, nor Herod, as seen is hereupon. Therefore is best we let him gone, whither he will his way.
Nail him, we cry with one voice, nail him, nail to the cross.
You men, for shame, let be your noise. My counsel will I say. You know each one the manner delivered must be a prisoner, this feast that now approaches near, for honor of the day. Will you Jesus delivered be?
Nay, to suffer death worthy is he, and thereupon cry all we, and Barabbas reserved.
What shall I do with Jesu here that Christ is called, and King in fair?
Nail him on cross in all manner, for so he hath deserved.
Now since I see you so fervent, and shapen that he shall be shed, wash will here. You all present wax you never so woed. You shall all wit, veriment, that I am clean and innocent, not for to shed in no intent this right wise man's blood.
And then Pilate will wash his hands, and Caiaphas and Annas will depart with Pilate.
You prelates hear everyone, what will you do? Let him be gone?
Nay, nail him to the cross anon, and doom him, or thou leave.
Take ye him that been so grim, and after your law doom you him.
Nay, it is not lawful, life nor limb, for us no man to reave.
What the devil of hell is this to say? Jesus, tell me, I thee pray, and that art thou king? Say yea or nay of Jews by ancestry?
Whether hopest thou it be so, or other men told thee of me?
Ma fey, thyself may know and see that no Jew am I. Men of thine own nation sue for thy damnation with many an accusation, and all this day so han. Art thou king? Say for all their cry.
My realm in this world, as say I, is not. But if it were, witterly, with Jews were I not ta'en. And if my realm in this world were, strive I would with you now here, and lead with me such power should prive you of your prey. But my might in this manner will I not prove, ne now appear as worldly king, my cause unclear were then in good fay.
Ergo a king thou art, or was.
That thou says, it is no less. But now I tell thee here express that king I am and be may. And world I came to bear witness of soothness, and therefore born I was, and all that live in soothness take heed to that I say.
What is soothness? Tell thou me.
Soothness came from God's sea.
In earth then truth hath no postie, by thine opinion?
How should truth on earth be, while so deemed in earth is he of them that have authority in earth against reason?
Lords, I find no cause, iwis, to doom this man that here is.
Pilate, he hath done much amiss, let him never pass. By Moses' law leaven we, and after that law dead should he be. But aptly preached has he, God's son that he was.
Yea, Pilate, he that makes him peer either to king or king's fear, with, says Caesar, of his power, and so he hath with him. For whoso calls him king here deprives Caesar of his power.
Anon, go scourge this Lossinger, and beat him lath and limb.
Come now with care, freak, for thy fare, on thy body bear, strokes shalt thou bear.
Cast off this wear, all thy clothes yar, start now and stare. Thee Stanold I would steer.
Then they strip him and tie him to a pillar. Now he is bounden, be never so wounden, but soon shall he be founden with flaps in fear.
In woe shall he be wounded, and his grains grounden. No lad unto London such law can him lear.
And then after they had scourged him, they clothe him in purple and place him in a chair.
Now since king he is, quaint his clothing is. Beggar, to thee I bring this, for this thou shalt wear.
Then the second Jew puts the crown of thorns on his head and says,
All of heathing this is, and of old spinges, of thorns the thing is, thee for to wear.
Now thou hast the weed, have here a reed, sceptre I thee bede, a king for to be.
Hark, take heed. Thus must I need for my foul deed kneel on my knee.
Hail, King of Jews, that so many shoes, ribald thee ruse, all this reverence.
With scold on him spews, and his hide hews, anointing thy brows for thine offense.
To spit in thy face, that baking mace, now my nose is good spice of the new.
With a hard grace thou came to this place. Pass now the race, sore shalt thou rue.
Lordings, here you may see your king in all his royalty.
No, sir, forsooth, no king have we, save the emperor of Rome. But thou nail him to the tree, the emperor full wrath will be.
All we say, right as saith he, deem him while thou hast time.
Whither of them will ye have? Christ Jesu or Baraban?
Nay, Jesu, that take it, traitor that is ta'en, must nailed be upon the tree, and let Barabbas go his way.
Takes him forth then, as you say, for save him I see I nay may. Undone, but I should be.
This doom is at an end. Now Freitas on to wend, the shoe for to shend a little here beside.
And placing the placing the cross on his back, the Secundus says,
Here shalt thou not lend. Come hither and be hend. Thy back for to bend. Here may thou not abide.
and technically this play could end here, but there is a variant text to the play that continues thus. But wait, no, is this where the okay? Yeah, I'm just confusing
Yeah,
myself.
we do continue it because I have a part in the next bit, so we are
Yeah.
amended.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's just we can continue, but I think the variant text is in a different document which we do not
Yeah,
have at the
I think
moment.
you're
Yeah,
right.
okay, yeah, I got confused by myself. Okay, please continue, Damsel. Yeah.
Wast thou not with Jesus of Nazareth?
I know him not, nor what thou sayest.
Sir, secretly I tell you plain, this man here is one of them that was with him in the garden. I know it to be true.
It is not true, so mote I thee. I know him not by any degree.
One of them thou art assuredly, and thou art also of Galilee. Thy speech clearly bewrayeth thee in witness of us all.
In faith and truth, that is not so. Shame have I, and mickle woe, if ever I did him before know, or keep him company.
And thus endeth the play.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, because the variant text starts before the damsel enters or whatever. Yeah, I realized that these plays don't really have entrances and exits marked, so it's kind of like you're assuming that everyone knows where they come in. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that these texts evolved over a very considerable period of time. And what's come down to us, I think, is probably, the bits people could remember. And I suspect there may well have been more material in there that's got lost over the decades of performance.
Yeah, that too. But it's also, I feel like, I mean, we've talked about this before about pageant wagons in other what do we call it? In other mystery cycles where like they have pageant wagons and you can move from one wagon to the next. But I feel like this one has a different way of setting stuff up because you've got Caiaphas and Annas taking the Jesus to Pilate, and then you've got Pilate telling them to take him further down, and then it's like, what on earth? I mean, I know the story and all that stuff, but like travel time probably feels like maybe it's a processional thing or whatever. I don't know. It's maybe it's just me. I don't know how this plays out, but I do know that these are still performed, so I don't know how that compares to how it would have been compared to nowadays. Alan.
I suspect it was probably done with 2 pageant carts. And you got the initial trial before Caiaphas and Annas on one cart, and then they wander across to the one with Pilate on it, and then they wander back, and this time Herod's there. So it could be done reasonably economically and within a relatively small compass.
Yeah. What I'm intrigued by is also that they strip him and tie him to a pillar. This is a very specific stage direction. I mean, okay, aside from the previous one with he brings out the whip and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm guessing that there's a lot of reuse of props going on as well. From a purely like stage perspective, in terms of story, we know that it's anti-Semitic. We know that it's ugly and all that stuff. But yeah, any other thoughts on this play or the collection of plays that we've done today? Rachel is looking for pensive. And Connor.
I just find it also grim, and not the plays in and of themselves only, but although they are, but the part they play in the long, horrible history of anti-Semitism, it's pretty tough to sit here through that.
Well, also because they kind of, as far as I remember, Jews were not around in the in Britain before at the time of
Yeah,
writing.
they'd been banned from Europe, from
Yeah.
England, from
11 something, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
1250, I think.
Yeah. Lynn has thoughts or not?
Yeah, I mean, quite apart from that, from the racism, it is it's very striking that the violence is portrayed pretty graphically. I mean, some of the episodes from the Gospels, you can see why those are included. The episode where Peter cuts off the centurion's ear and Jesus heals it and says, "Put up thy sword." Basically, let him take me. This is how God wants it. I mean, that there's that's very emotionally moving, and there's certainly a educational value in that, but yeah, the sort of indulgence in the torture and the humiliation is disturbing.
Yeah, and also other cycles I don't think actually do this that much. Like you have them sort of, I think, I don't know, I can't remember in others. I seem to conflate a lot of them, so it's kind of because obviously they're doing a similar story. But yeah, Francis.
Yeah, I'm assuming that a lot of the violence, and you know the cutting off of the ear and all of that, the scourging and the beating up. I mean, it's all to get the audience going and to get their attention, isn't it?
Yeah, and well, also I guess because like obviously some of them would know the story, I assume,
Yeah.
but they might not be literate at the time of writing this play. So
Yeah. And also, as Alan says, it's happening in a marketplace. So, you know, they're being distracted by merchandise or something. So you've got to sort of grab their attention with.
yeah. Alan and Mark, sorry.
I mean, I would take issue slightly with what you said there about they may know the story. They would have had this dinned into them week after week after week. Church
Year
attendance
after year after year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
church attendance was pretty well compulsory. While you're talking about culture, which was probably for the bulk of the population pre-literate, it would have been expounded at length in church every damn week. And you're also in a situation where the churches at this time, pre-Reformation, would have had wall paintings, which in great graphic detail shows things like the scourging and so on, which you very rarely find in churches in the UK these days, but you can find elsewhere in the world where the fresco or mural traditions persisted.
Yeah, true. Mark, sorry, I got distracted for a moment and then forgot what I was saying. Yeah, Mark.
In the first of the chapters or plays that we looked at today, you know, don't sell stuff in this church temple bit, like that is interesting, that being performed in a marketplace. It's like, don't use this for merchandise. It's like, I don't know, I feel like people are like, is this a protest of this marketplace being used as marketplace? Because he's talking about temple being his marketplace. We're not in a temple, but we are in a marketplace. Yeah, that's just interesting little meta level to think about.
Well, in some cases, I seem to remember reading somewhere that they would be performed in front of churches where you could get altar boys up in the, like, inside the church, you could get, well, cathedrals, you could get them sort of behind some, well, not frescoes, but behind like the wall, you could get them sort of to channel voices out of divine voices in front of the cathedral. So you could kind of have choirs and music and all that stuff. So you could also, I presume you could also do that for other things where, like, you know, you could have borrow columns from the cathedral while being outside and that kind of thing. So it might have been a sort of, well, if I don't think they would have done a week of this. I don't know, would have they done a week of this? It would have been a very long week otherwise. But yeah, this is basically like if you read these plays, it's kind of Jesus Christ, the superhero story, superhero origins kind of thing, which is obviously completed with the harrowing of hell and all that stuff, which we don't read yet, not from this cycle, I think, if there is one. Yeah, it's so location is quite important to these plays as well, depending on where you want to stage it. Yeah, but also just I don't think we've had the violence acted out quite so much in other plays of this type. So it's interesting that we flagged that one up. And I can see that the chat is very active today, which is quite fun. Yeah. Any other thoughts on well, I mean, since we're here, and well, I was gonna say approaching Easter nowadays is very different to. I mean, we also talked about well, I think it was Rachel who mentioned in the chat the anachronism of conflating like Passover and Easter,
Yeah.
but obviously, like, I don't know if a modern audience would well, not necessarily care, but I mean, would draw attention to that. Rachel, I assume you have something to say about that.
Yeah,
and then
there's
Aliki.
a long tradition, and it's still practiced, a long Christian tradition of saying that the Christians are the rightful interpreters of Jewish history and Jewish practice, and have taken it on, and it's just colonization.
Aliki.
So, as a speaker of a language which says Pesach rather than Easter, or our version thereof, I kind of see where this confusion comes from, but also I think it's kind of important to highlight it because there's a whole new version of denying Jewish history and tradition. There's this whole neo-pagan kind of rationale that says, oh, well, it's bunnies because of Eoster, the spring goddess, and it's eggs because of something to do with something. I mean, they pull out all kinds of weird stuff. And it's not. The lamb is from the Passover feast. The eggs are from the Passover feast. The whole idea of the blood of the lamb is given in sacrifice to save somebody is from the Passover story. So let's, underline that there. That's where it comes from.
And well, also what I found interesting was that Pilate and Jesus have this moment of like debating over philosophy. Are you the son of God? Well, no, but I mean, I'm here and you're punishing me for it. And Pilate has this moment of like, but why? You should just like not say that and so on. I mean, aside from the typical Pilate trying to convince him they have enough time on stage to do that mini debate, which I found a bit amusing, but then maybe that's just me, because I'm a psychopath. Kyle, anything to add? Or is that, are you waving or are you? Yeah.
No, I was just thinking about what, I mean, it was such a horrible experience to see the kind of anti-Semitism and the first Jew, second Jew, and this sort of stuff. But I was also thinking maybe it wouldn't be quite as bad as experiencing it the way we're reading it, because how would they know it was first Jew, second Jew? Did they like make that obvious in some way? I'm just curious about like how anti-Semitic would have been.
I imagine they are portrayed in the most vile anti-Semitic way imaginable. I think that it is indicated visually for the audience. I think it is, and I think it is, horrific.
That's good to know. Yeah. I mean, because
also
this is just such an expose of violence in some ways too, right?
And I haven't seen any of these in modern recent performance. I kind of avoid them. And I wonder, given that, one of the things this group thinks about is what would take to make these pieces viable for modern performance. I mean, what would you want to even do with this? Is a thing you need to ask.
Well, I mean, also considering all the films that have been made about Passion of the Christ, blah, blah, all that stuff. I mean, it's a very popular franchise, so I guess you would want to do that. Maybe not in the way it's presented here, but there are people who sort of buy into the commercial the commercial value as well as the sort of spiritual, so on and so forth value. Aliki has thoughts, and then Freitas.
Well, I'm not a fan either, but I know that certainly resurrection, crucifixion and resurrection pageants do take place in all kinds of English towns and cities every year around Easter, or at Easter, the weekend. I've never sat around long enough in the one that takes place where I lived to see whether they've attempted to edit out the anti-Semitism, but it's certainly they're performed all the time. And I think the Chester cycle is performed, isn't it? And
Yeah,
lots
the
of
next one's
mystery
in
play
2020.
cycles are performed.
Yeah. The next one's in 2028. If you want to join. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, yeah, it's still performed every 5 years. Francis.
Yeah, because so is this play are these plays we've read today, they're still performed?
Yeah.
Oh my God, because they're
Pun
just
intended.
so, they're just so badly written that I just can't imagine a modern audience getting their head around them. And we've read other mystery plays in this group that will be much more accessible, I would have thought.
Yeah. Well, also kind of there is that thing of aside from the accessibility and like violence that we've had, I imagine that, like, this was also watched by the entire community back then. I mean, I don't know if it still is, because you have to buy a ticket nowadays to offset the cost of actually producing the thing. But like back then, you would have had anyone from like basically anyone who goes to church, as Alan said, watching this play. So you'd have like kids, they would be like drummed into them. You'd have women, men, children. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just interesting as to like sort of semi-propaganda issues. But yeah. Kyle, and were you waving, or am I just imagining
Yeah,
things?
no, I was just saying, I wanted to say, add something. I once did see something like this. I was at a Christmas parade. I mean, it was an Easter parade, and it was in a city, and there was, all these floats with flowers and all this sort of stuff. And then there was this float that had this being depicted on it, like the violence of this, and there was blood all over the person who was on it. And it was the most disturbing thing I have ever seen, especially in that context. Like, I was just, I mean, everybody was so shocked at the horror of it. I mean, it was, yeah, I just had to mention that. It was so unbelievable. And that's the only time I've ever seen anything in person like this. But I've taught the early stuff, so I've taught the like York's play of the crucifixion, where they're putting them, yeah. But reading it is not as tough as seeing something like that, especially in like real life. Just so, yeah.
Lynn and Aliki.
Did anybody else in this room see the Passion of Christ that Mel Brooks directed about 25 years ago? Super, super graphic and disturbing.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
Mel Brooks.
yeah, that one.
Yeah, not Mel Brooks. I don't
Mel
see
Brooks
Mel
would
Brooks.
be
I
funnier.
said, oh God. Yeah, that would have been kind of worth seeing. Yeah.
And that too is well known for its anti-Semitism, right?
Oh yeah, it was hugely controversial when it came out.
I mean, yeah, just the violence alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even watch. I mean, like, I had to look down at a couple points. It was just like,
Aliki, you.
Well, this kind of feeds into what I was going to say, which is that the violence, which is so off-putting for us, is, well, I mean, there are audiences now for slasher films. There are audiences for movies that are incredibly gory. And that's what's being sold here. It's for that audience, I think. If you look at Christian iconography in a lot of churches. I don't know about the crucifixion per se, but there's certainly a lot of wall paintings of the damned suffering in hell, or of saints getting skinned alive. And the crucifixion itself, right? In so many Catholic churches, there's a giant big sculpture of a guy getting tortured to death.
Yeah.
And it just, we gloss over it as if, because we're used to it culturally, that it's there. But that horrific violence is very much a part of the story, and it's a part of the story that would have appealed to a lot of people to see.
Yeah. Connor, sorry. Yeah. Please feel free to-
Sorry, yeah, just to kind of there's the Passion plays still take place here in London. We actually takes place in Trafalgar Square. So they do it in the center of London, the crucifixion, everything.
Oh, wow.
It's a massive production, a cast of 100. Like, I put a link in a second, but like, it's a massive thing, and it's free. They don't charge for it. You just come and watch it, and the actors get paid for it. So it's still a massive tradition here in the UK.
Oh,
So yeah, it's being massive production values. Like, if you look at the pictures of it, like, they do the crucifixion, they do the crosses and everything in Trafalgar Square. So there's an audience for it.
is that a fairly? I don't remember this from when I lived in.
I mean, it's been going for about. I mean, this article says it's been going since 2010, so for 14 years at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been going for over a decade. But yeah, it's a massive thing. It's actually on Good Friday at the end of the month. I might go down and watch it because, yeah, I mean, as a piece of theatre, I think it's quite interesting. Let's probably,
Then
not
again, you like
well
the
written.
Revengers tragedy, so yeah.
But then I love,
I'm
we were
kidding.
talking about Titus Andronicus earlier. That's one of my favourite plays. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah, I mean, I personally
I
think
feel-
tragedy is the highest form of art. So,
Yeah.
that's just me. So
I should
yeah,
whack you,
it's.
but-
It should quack me. Sorry, you should quack. But yeah, I mean, it's a very big audience for this. So they still want to see it regardless of how other religions are presented.
Yeah. Yeah, well, also because in other plays, I mean, if you look at like I don't know if they do it in the Chester cycle, I can't remember enough of it, but in the York cycle and all the other ones that we've done, there's always like Jews swearing by Muhammad, or Herod swearing by Muhammad, and it's like, yeah, clearly you did not know enough about this religion to write about it. Yeah, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, coming back to Aliki's point about torture and death and grisly things happening on stage, you've only got to look at how many tragedies we've read within this group over the last number of months. And it's always the tragedies that people enjoy. The bloodier, the better. I mean, as Roberts describes, we are actually a group of psychopaths.
We're friendly though. That's different. We don't. We
Psychopaths. That's right.
yeah. We do it with a smile. No wait. That just sounds wrong. Yeah. It's interesting though how we treat this differently to, like, reading this and then reading, I don't know, as I said, the Revengers tragedy, or I don't know, the Changeling, or Duchess of Malfi. We treat those differently to this, which is, I guess, also because it's a religious thing, maybe. I don't know. Francis.
Yeah, answering Alan's point about the fact that the tragedies are the most popular plays in this group, it occurs to me that the comedies we read, the humor and the jokes, a lot of it is just, goes over our heads because it's dated, but violence never goes out of fashion.
There you go. See, this is where you get it, people. No, yeah, I'm kidding, but yeah, it's yeah, I don't know where to go with that message here. Any thoughts? Aliki looks very pensive, but I don't know if that's about this or just Mark, I feel you've been quite quiet, but I don't know if that's just me. Because you were talking all this while about as Jesus. Yes.
Yeah, I think Jesus Christ Superstar does it better. That's I know it's not in the spirit of this to not be talking about how to make this work. I mean, you could do an interesting like comparison, like do like Jesus Christ Superstar alongside this and just see how like the narrative and the way that we tell it has changed. That would be interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, but also I think in a weird way, kids actually prefer the violence, which is kind of terrifying. I mean, yeah, I don't know, maybe that's me. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this, or shall we wrap up and call it a day or two, maybe? Yeah. Going once, going twice. I guess that's all. Well, all that remains is for me to thank the wonderful readers for their wonderful reading. And have a good one. Thank you, people, for your contributions. And I must have this ass.